He always smiled like someone who carried sunshine in his pocket, but you know how this life is, smile no day tell full story. In that quiet town where evenings smelt like roasted corn and dusk danced in tired rays of light, there lived a boy who believed the world still had space for gentle hearts. He moved softly, almost like his feet knew the ground had feelings too. People would greet him and say, "This one go grow to be somebody peaceful." The way he greeted elders, the way he never argued, even when he had every right, made his mother look at him with pride hiding inside her tired eyes. His stepfather, on the other hand, moved like someone always chewing anger. You could hear tension from his footsteps. He spoke with that tone that left fear standing behind every word. Nobody knew what sat inside his chest, but whatever it wasn't love. It felt like a storm that refused to rest. The boy tried to please him, but you know how some people are, when someone already hates you for breathing, even a greeting becomes offense. One evening, when the sun was melting into the sky like palm oil in hot pan, the boy came home whistling a small tune. He didn't expect anything strange, but trouble hardly knocks. Trouble enters like breeze. The stepfather called him with a voice too calm to be trusted. "Come," he said, "help me move something inside the small store." The boy followed, innocent like soaked Gary waiting for sugar. Inside that dim room, dust floated in the air like shy spirits refusing to mind their business. The boy stepped in, thinking nothing of it, not knowing wickedness had finished tying wrapper and was fully ready. Before he could turn, the door slammed. His heart jumped. He laughed small, thinking maybe this was one of those harsh jokes adults sometimes play. But silence answered him. Silence can shout louder than scream. He tried to push the door, but it felt like pushing against a mountain. That moment, his lungs felt tight, and fear crawled in like lizard entering crack in wall. He did not know this was only the beginning. Little did he understand that sunset marked his last free breath, for many moons would rise before he stepped outside again. At first, he thought it was one of those moments life uses to test patience. He stood there, breathing slowly, waiting for footsteps, waiting for the door to open, waiting for someone to say sorry, this was mistake. But only silence showed up again. Evening turned to night, and darkness covered the room like blanket woven with fear. His stomach began to whisper small complaints, his throat felt dry, and his heartbeat sounded louder than common sense. He knocked, gentle at first, then louder again. Still, nothing. The silence outside behaved as if the whole world had gone to sleep and forgot him there. He sat down on a small sack of beans, using his knees as pillow. "Please," he whispered. His voice felt strange, like it was scared to leave his throat. He remembered his mother then, the way she always touched his cheek and said, "My son, the world may be rough but your heart must stay soft." Thinking of her gave him small comfort, like cold water touching dry lips. Yet fear stayed there, sitting beside him like stubborn visitor refusing to go. Morning came, and with it came footsteps. His heart lifted, like birds stretching wings. The stepfather opened the door just enough to push in a small bowl of water and one piece of bread, then locked it again. No words. Just that cold action. The boy stared at the bread like it carried questions bigger than hunger. Why? What did he do wrong? Was love supposed to look like this? His mind searched for reasons but found only confusion dancing in empty space. Days passed, but inside that room, time walked slowly, like old men dragging slippers on sand. Every day, food came without voice. Every night, darkness returned with heavy presence. The boy talked to himself sometimes, just to hear sound. He sang small songs his mother used to hum, songs that smelled like hope. In that tiny room, he learned how to hold tears without letting them fall. He learned that fear could become roommate. And still, he waited, believing that this nightmare would end soon. He did not know wickedness had long legs and no hurry at all. He used to think fear was loud. Something that roared and chased people in stories elders told under moonlight. But now he learned fear could whisper too. It could sit quietly beside you, breathing softly, reminding you that escape had forgotten your name. Days inside that small room stretched like tired rubber, refusing to snap but too weak to hold shape. Sometimes he would trace lines on the dusty floor with his finger, pretending they were paths that led to freedom. Childish hope can be stubborn, it does not know when to sit down. His stepfather's shadow became his clock. Every morning, he heard the slow, heavy steps. The hinge creaked a little, food slid in, the lock clicked again, and silence returned like landlord collecting rent. The boy looked at the doorway each time, trying to read something in the man's eyes, but wickedness can wear face like stone. His mother's voice always floated in his mind, soft like warm pap on rainy morning. She used to say, "If life ever traps you, remember who you are." Those words felt like tiny candle in storm, but still, light is light. One afternoon, hunger made his head feel like empty calabash. His voice trembled as he whispered, "Why are you doing this to me?" No answer. Only dull walls listening. Emotion crawled up his throat, not just sadness, but that painful mixture of confusion and betrayal. He was not a perfect child, sure, but nobody deserves cage for breathing. Tears finally escaped, sliding slowly, like they had been waiting their turn. He wiped them quick, embarrassed, even though nobody could see him. Sometimes, pride survives where strength fails. To keep his mind from breaking, he created small worlds in his head. He imagined himself running outside, wind touching his face like friend who missed him. He imagined his mother entering with her wrapper tied tight, calling his name the way it always sounded like prayer. He imagined freedom so much, he could almost taste it. And in that imagination, he found tiny strength. Even a trapped bird still dreams of sky. Yet, deep inside, fear whispered again. What if sky never comes? What if this room becomes forever? That thought sat with him like cold harmattan morning. But he refused to let it settle. A boy can be tired and still hold hope like last piece of yam on hungry evening. Some nights felt longer than a full year. He would sit with his back against the wall, hugging his knees, staring at that faint slice of moonlight that slipped through the tiny window. That small light looked like pity from the sky, and he welcomed it. Sometimes he whispered to it, almost playful, saying, "Moon, if you can hear me, I beg tell morning to hurry." It was strange, talking to light, but loneliness will teach you how to make friends out of anything that listens. Hunger became like quiet drum, beating gently inside his belly. Not loud, just steady, reminding him life was still moving, even in stillness. His body grew thinner, shoulders sharper, but his spirit, somehow, refused to collapse. It bent, yes, but it did not break. Each day, he woke with tiny hope stretching inside his chest like someone rising slowly from sleep. Some mornings he even smiled small to himself, as if encouraging his own heartbeat, saying, "Hold on, something must change." He would remember street sounds from outside, children laughing, women calling out plantain for sale, faraway bike engines grumbling like tired goats. Those sounds felt like postcards from freedom. He tried to imagine faces, roads, sunshine touching ground, and it warmed him a little. But he also wondered, did they think he disappeared? Did his mother search for him? Did life outside continue without missing him? That thought pained him most. Being forgotten can hurt more than hunger. One day, while sipping the small water he was given, he caught himself humming a tune he didn't even know he remembered. That soft melody filled the room like gentle breeze. For a moment, he felt almost human again, not just trapped shadow. He laughed a tiny laugh, shaky but real. Funny how one small tune can carry strength inside it. And that moment showed him something. Hope does not always shout. Sometimes it tiptoes. Still, behind that hope, a new feeling was growing too, one he didn't invite. Anger. Slow, steady, like fire starting from tiny match. Not wild anger, but quiet anger that waits. The kind that sits inside your bones and says one day, life will return balance. He did not know how. He did not know when. But something inside whispered that destiny may bend, but it does not bow forever. The days stopped having names. Everything blended like Gary soaked without sugar, still food but not sweet. Yet something strange happened inside him, his mind became sharper. He noticed small things, the rhythm of his stepfather's footsteps, how morning light always came slanted, how dust in that room danced like it had freedom he did not. Funny how a quiet place can teach you more than noisy world outside. His body felt weak, yes, but his thoughts walked far. Sometimes he imagined himself older, stronger, telling this story someday, and people shaking their heads like, life is wicked, Shah. One afternoon, rain started outside. That soft, steady rain that smells like wet sand and cold breeze. He stretched his fingers toward the window as if he could touch droplets. It made him think of times he and his mother would sit by the door, watching rain fall and laughing at neighbors rushing with nylon bags on their heads. That memory held him like warm wrapper. He whispered, "Mama, I day here." His voice was small but steady. He did not cry this time. Tears were now luxury his body didn't like wasting. Later, when the door opened for food, he looked at the men. Not with fear this time, but with quiet curiosity, almost playful, like someone wondering how human heart can become stone. The stepfather avoided his eyes, pushed the food, locked the door again. That tiny moment told the boy something important. Wickedness also fears being seen. Knowing that gave him small power. Even in trapped place, understanding can feel like fresh breeze. Some evenings he talked to himself softly, joking small, telling imaginary stories. If someone heard him, they might call him strange, but sometimes laughter is broom, it sweeps sadness away bit by bit. He would say silly things like, "If mosquito enter here now, at least I get visitor." Then he would chuckle, soft and tired, but still chuckle. Who knew survival could sound like quiet laughter? Still, behind all this, a small shift happened inside him. His fear was shrinking. His patience was growing teeth. You know when a plant grows in cracked cement? That's how his courage began, slow, stubborn, refusing to die. Something was changing. He could feel it like rumble in sky before thunder. Sometimes strength arrives quietly, like a child tiptoeing into a room. He didn't notice the exact day it entered, but one morning he woke up and his heart felt different. Not bigger, not harder, but steady. The fear that once sat heavy in his chest now felt small, like fly buzzing around ear. Trouble can press someone, but it cannot press spirit forever, unless spirit agrees. His own spirit stubbornly refused. That day, when the door opened, the boy didn't rush to the food. Instead, he looked straight at the men. Not long stare, just brief, but full. Like someone saying without words, "I see you." The stepfather flinched small, like that gaze touched something inside him he didn't want touched. He slammed the door quicker than usual. The lock sounded nervous. Funny how pride can shake hand when guilt enters room. Alone again, the boy exhaled slow. For the first time, he felt pity for the men. Imagine carrying so much darkness that even sunlight feels like enemy. That kind of life is punishment on its own. The thought almost made him laugh small. Here he was, trapped, yet somehow the one feeling free inside. Life has strange humor. He stood and stretched his weak legs, holding the wall for balance. When he walked 2 steps, his knees wobbled like newly born goat legs, but still, he walked. Every tiny movement felt like rebellion, like telling the room, "You cage body, but mine still waka." Then he whispered to the silence, "I will not break." His voice wasn't loud, but it sat firm like stone inside stream. Even hunger began to feel different. Not friend, not enemy. Just reminder. Each pain in his stomach said, "You are alive." And being alive means story never finish. He rubbed his chest lightly, playful tone in his whisper, saying, "Stomach, sorry, we go chop well soon." That small humor felt like warm breeze brushing tired face. Then something unusual happened. Through the tiny window, he saw a bird land briefly, pecking at wooden frame before flying away. It was just 1 second, but it felt like message. Wings came, wings left. Movement still exists. The world outside still breathes. And if a little bird can touch freedom, why not him one day? His heart beat softer but stronger. Storm still outside, yes. But inside, dawn had started stretching. The days moved again, slow but sure, like old man climbing hill with walking stick. His bones still felt light, like breeze could carry him, but his mind stood tall. Sometimes he would close his eyes and imagine fresh air touching his face, the way Lego's sun warms skin even when you try to hide under shade. He pictured children running outside, dust rising behind their feet like playful smoke. That imagination tasted sweet. Funny how mind can build whole world when body cannot move freely. One afternoon, while lying on the dusty floor, he began to think of his mother more deeply. He remembered the way she hummed while spreading clothes outside, the small rhythm like gentle drum. He remembered her laugh, not loud, but rich, like something precious she didn't want to waste. The thought made him smile small, then ache followed. He missed her like rain misses dry land. Yet, instead of breaking him, the memory stitched strength inside his chest. Love can be quiet medicine. On that same day, he decided something quietly. He would survive. Not just breathe. Survive. Live. See outside again. Walk freely. Tell story. His hand touched the floor and he whispered, "One day, this room will just be story dust." And that sentence felt like seed planted in dark soil, waiting for sunlight. Evening came and his stepfather opened the door again. This time, the man paused, just for half a heartbeat. Maybe he expected to see a broken child. Instead, he met steady eyes. Small, yes. Tired, yes. But steady like calm river during dry season. The man looked away quickly, as if truth slapped him. He pushed food inside and shut the door harder than normal, like locking guilt inside with the boy. But guilt is slippery, it finds cracks and sneaks into hearts like smoke. After the lock clicked, the boy chuckled softly. A dry, light laugh, but still laugh. Imagine being trapped and still finding reason to smile. That is how victory starts, tiny, stubborn, unannounced. He lay down again, staring at the ceiling like he could see sky through it. His voice came out small but playful, saying tomorrow go hear word. And that hope, gentle and stubborn, sat beside him like loyal friend. The night felt less heavy. His heart felt like sunrise waiting under horizon. Sometimes silence can feel like water. It rises slowly, and if you don't hold yourself well, it can drown you without noise. But instead of sinking, he learned how to float in it. He learned how to breathe small, think slow, and listen to his own heartbeat like it was drum guiding him. Strength had settled inside him like quiet king, no crown, no noise, but firm. One morning, light entered the room brighter than usual. It touched his face gently, almost like greeting. He sat up, feeling that soft warmth, and whispered, "I'm still here." There was no anger in his voice, no crying. Just truth standing tall on simple feet. His fingers played lazily with dust, drawing tiny sun-like child who still remembers joy. Even his breath sounded calmer, like body finally accepted what mind had already decided, that freedom would come, and he would meet it standing. He thought about how life can twist someone's path. One moment you're walking to fetch water, next moment darkness holds you like jealous lover. But deep inside, he felt something turning, like tide shifting inside the sea. Pain can polish soul, and his soul now shone in quiet way, the kind only struggle can carve. He imagined his stepfather outside, moving around, pretending normal life while hiding secret like burning coal under shirt. It must be heavy, he thought. Darkness may have power, but it never sleeps peacefully. Even wicked heart still shakes when memory knocks at midnight. The idea made him smile, tiny smile, not from spite, but from understanding. Sometimes, punishment is simply knowing what you have done. Then he spoke softly, voice gentle like evening breeze, "This room cannot eat me. Not anymore." He tapped his chest lightly, as if knocking door of his own courage. Inside here, I'm bigger. His words floated in air like small feathers, settling slowly, true and untouched. Later, he leaned against wall and closed his eyes. Not tired, but resting like king preparing for tomorrow. His lips moved slowly, whispering prayer without form, hope without rules. He didn't beg for escape anymore. He waited for it, like someone waiting for ripe mango to fall. No rush, but certainty. And in that stillness, his heart felt warm, almost shining. Outside the room, life continued. But inside him, something stronger than freedom was growing, a spirit too tall for walls. By now, the room no longer frightened him. Strange, isn't it? The same four walls that once felt like hungry mouth now felt like something else, a lesson, a waiting place. His body was thin, yes, but his spirit stood like Irako tree refusing to bow for breeze. And there is a kind of power that comes from surviving what was meant to break you. It doesn't shout. It just breathes and watches the world quietly, almost amused. That morning, he woke with calm heart. The air felt different, like something new was sneaking in. Change sometimes arrives like thief, quietly, barefoot, without greeting. He stretched his weak arms, winced tiny pain, then smiled. Pain was no longer enemy, it was reminder. And reminder means life. He whispered to himself, almost playful, "Southwest this place think you go swallow me? Sorry but my spirit stubborn past this room." When the door opened, his stepfather didn't enter. He only pushed plate in like always. But the boy didn't rush. Instead, he spoke. Soft, steady, not shaking, "You will answer one day. Not to me. To yourself. And the world." His voice was simple, but truth stood inside it like palm tree in open field, tall and clear. The man froze for half-second, breath caught like someone choking on guilt. The boy didn't look angry. No insults. No begging. Just calm truth. That calmness frightened the man more than any scream could. When someone you cage looks free inside, your wickedness starts shaking. The man slammed the door too fast, almost tripping his own conscience. Inside, the boy sat again. He felt something shift in the air, like wickedness just lost a little power. You know those moments when sun hides but you can still feel heat? That's how hope sat inside him. Not loud, not dancing, just steady warmth. His eyes softened as he whispered, "Mama, hold on. I day come." His voice wasn't desperate. It was promise. Then he leaned back, breathing slow, thinking of sky, open spaces, laughter he would laugh again. Freedom was no longer dream, it felt close, like footstep waiting behind door. He didn't know how or when. But certainty sat in him, calm and unshaking. Storm may last long, but dawn always collects its share. And his dawn was near, he could feel it crawling under the door like early morning light. The day freedom came, it didn't roar. It didn't shout like market women arguing over change. It arrived quiet, like morning dew settling on grass before sun wakes. He was half asleep when he heard voices outside, sharp whispers, hurried footsteps, something uneasy in the air. His eyes opened slow, heartbeat steady. Change had finally come to knock. Then heavy bangs hit the door. Not the stepfather's rhythm. Different. Firm. Official. A voice followed, deep and certain, "Open this door. Police." His breath caught, but not from fear, from relief so strong it almost tasted sweet. The lock rattled, metal scraping like truth forcing its way in. Suddenly, bright light poured into the room like blessing rushing through broken roof. Two officers stood there, eyes wide with shock as they stared at his thin frame. Someone had spoken. Someone had noticed. Life had not forgotten him. Behind them, his mother pushed forward, wrapper tied tight, tears already running. She rushed to him, holding his face like she was touching treasure lost in river and found again. My child," her voice cracked like clay pot hitting floor. He rested his head on her shoulder, not weak, just relieved. His tears didn't fall in panic this time, they fell like rain after dry season, cleansing, soft, necessary. The stepfather stood outside, handcuffed, head bowed. People gathered, whispering, shaking heads, as truth finally stretched its legs in public. Wickedness always acts bold in darkness, but daylight embarrasses it. The boy didn't look at the man with hate. Hate is heavy, and he was done carrying weight. He simply stared with quiet strength, that same calm that once frightened the wicked man. His silence spoke louder than any insult. Outside, the sky felt bigger. Air tasted like freedom, warm and sharp, like pepper soup on cold evening. He walked slowly, weak legs learning road again. But Spirit stood tall, untouched. Children outside paused, watching him with wide eyes. One little girl whispered, "He's strong." And yes, he was. Not because he fought with fists, but because he survived with heart. His mother held his hand as they walked. Each step felt like music, slow but sure. He looked at sky, breathing deep, whispering thank you to life, to hope, to stubborn spirit that refused to bow. And somewhere inside him, a new promise rose, to live, to grow, and to never let darkness borrow his name again.